Have you ever felt so exhausted and drained that you're left questioning if you're burning out? Hi, I'm Flic Taylor, and my passion for burnout and self-care came about when I became a mental health writer who'd lost her mental health to extreme burnout. I know, the irony is not lost on me. Join me as I host Everyday Burnout Conversations, the honest podcast that shares the stories of others from all walks of life as they recover from, manage and avoid burnout by prioritising their mental health and well-being. Expect to hear fascinating conversations, plus positive and actionable tips and tricks that can help you make the simple life changes your mental health will thank you for. Episodes will be delightfully wrapped up in some epic truths and great humour. So, enjoy!
So, I would love to introduce my first guest. I'm so excited you're here, Sally. You have no idea. How long? I think, is it like 5 years we've been friends on Instagram?
Probably. Literally from the start. You were one of the first people I was like, oh, I love her.
Oh, I can remember watching you roller skate around your kitchen, just being like, oh, she's in my club. Like, I just bloody adore someone who does that. So it's been a while, and this is where social media is fantastic, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you can really find, kind of your people out there. Doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. Anyway, so here is Sally Beaton. So Sally Beaton is a women's holistic nutritionist, a women's life coach, a speaker, and the founder of Women with Sparkle, which is amazing. She's an author and released her brilliant book. Every woman should have this. It's called Get Your Sparkle Back, and that was released last year. Honestly, I wish I'd had this when I was in my teens. It's just brilliant, darling. Like, oh my God, incredible.
Thank you.
For the past decade, Sally has helped women across the world, teaching them how to boost their hormones, health, and happiness so they can reach their full potential and pursue their passions and purpose. Like, oh, amazing. Sally runs various online courses and masterclasses, as well as working one-to-one, helping women get their sparkle back so they can thrive in business and life. Sally, oh, she's as solid and as authentic and as wonderful as it gets. And I'm just so happy and grateful that you're here today, darling. So welcome, Sally.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that you're doing your podcast and sharing your sparkle with the world and your amazingness. So this is right up my street.
Oh, thank you, darling. So I would love to start off by you sharing what you do and why.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, I help women get their sparkle back. And if I said that to a room of men, they'd probably kind of stare a bit blankly at me. I say that to a room of women and I see women nod, tear up.
Yes.
Because every woman understands what I mean, or what it feels like when you feel like you've got your sparkle, and what it feels like to live when you feel like you've lost it.
Yes.
And so that can be for a variety of reasons. It can be health issues, it can be being exhausted from being a mum, it can be losing your job, it can be grief, or it can be a combination of all those things. It can happen in one fell swoop, or it can chip away at you over the years till that day where you think, I'm not who I thought I was, and I miss that person. I miss that woman that used to laugh at that, or someone who wouldn't get stressed at that, or someone who wasn't tired the whole time. And often there are such important keys to why we feel so crap. Normally our hormones, normally the pressure of the world, normally we say yes too much. And so it's really just unpacking those things. Each woman's case is different, so it's unpacking them with that woman and saying, right, let's stop living feeling so crappy and let's start getting that sparkle back for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I loved in your book, you obviously share your story, and you said how as a kid you were really optimistic, positive, and then in your 20s and 30s, like you just started to almost lose yourself, and it became all about the physical health symptoms that you were experiencing. And I think so many women can relate to that. And I loved how also you said in your book that, perimenopause and the menopause, it's never meant to be really difficult. It's just meant to be a case of your body saying, right, that's it. time for you now. You've done all the caring, you've done all of this for everyone else, time for you. And I think that a lot of women, and I don't know, Sally, about you, I think the pandemic is really making a lot of us stop and think about and evaluate what we need. And I don't know, maybe you've had clients who have come to you and said, okay, now's the time to help. I certainly know when I reached out to you and said, oh, babe, I'm a bit burnt out and I'll manage that. And you were like, yeah, no, absolutely. We can't give up everything to ourselves. So when you experienced your health symptoms, what were the warning flags to your exhaustion that you were like, okay?
So the warning flags were all there, but I didn't realize they were warning flags because I was told as a woman they were just normal. So the warning flags were being in a relationship with someone who wasn't very nice to me and thinking that was okay, because as a woman you're told it's really, well, in my day, I'm 42, so in my 20s it was very important you were in a relationship. That's where I got my worth as a woman. I didn't have all these amazing influencers now being like, you're amazing, whatever shape, size, whatever. So so it was, like I said, being in a crappy relationship. It was having agonizing periods, heavy periods to the point I thought I was going to pass out, going to the doctor, them just saying, well, it's normal and we'll put you on this pill or that pill, then getting adult acne, then getting IBS. And these symptoms they kind of stacked one on top of the other. I might have a few months without one and then something else would flare up. And I was just playing basically whack-a-mole with all these different symptoms, with all these different pills, with my doctors, because I was seeing different doctors saying, no, they're not related, you're just unlucky. So I got left with this version of me as this broken person who had to pretend that she was the person she used to be. So I was having to pretend I was very happy and pretend I was very vibrant, when actually I was in so much physical and emotional pain. It got to the point when I was 30 and I got a breast tumour and it knocked me for 6, and I had to have 2 operations, and I had to give up work for a while, and I had to wave that white flag and go, no more. I can't take any more. I can't pretend anymore that I've not been in all this pain. I can't pretend anymore it's not overwhelming me trying to keep all these friends happy, or trying to be this, to look a certain way for society or my boyfriend, or to try and just present the world's version of success that I couldn't keep up with. And I thought it was because my body was broken, and what I didn't realize, it was because many of those things around me were broken. What I'd been taught about relationships, what I'd been taught about my health, how the business world is set up for women, the expectations of family or spiritual communities, all those things. It was actually them that were in the wrong, and I thought it was me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that speaks so clearly to me. Absolutely. It's that feeling of, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And then you're like, hang on a minute. So what point, because it's such a brave move, Sally, I know, to go, okay, I think I'm going to have to put myself first. I mean, we're left with no choice. You know, you were having to have 2 breast tumor surgeries. I know I had to quit my job, but it's such a brave move to go, okay, that's it, no more. At what point did you go, I've made the right choice? I bet on myself and I did the right thing.
Well, it didn't feel brave at the time, because the interesting thing is, I remember so clearly after my first breast tumor operation, the first operation, they told me it was a cyst, nothing to worry about, it's benign, don't take it out, leave it in there, it's just a cyst. And something in my body said, this needs to come out.
Wow.
And so I went to the doctor and I said, look, I need to have this out. And they were like, well, fine, but you don't need to. And I had that first operation, and I remember coming back from the hospital and there being all these texts from work, friends, and me being driven back from the hospital, replying to all these texts, getting into bed, like saying to my work, like, don't worry, I should be back in a week, maximum 2. All these friends who've been worried about me, don't worry about me, just worry about you. And then I went back for my checkup 2 weeks later, and my consultant was white in the face, and he just said, someone up there is looking out for you, because this is not a cyst, this is a rare tumour, and we're going to have to operate again straight away to make sure we've got it all. And I went back in for that second operation, and something in me knew I had to not come out and worry about everyone else. And so, like I said, like, I understand looking back why that seemed brave. Actually, I literally lay there and I thought, if I don't change how I live, I'm going to die. And it felt that serious.
Yeah.
And we might not get a sign that big, but most women do. And the reason most women get it in their late 40s or 50s is because they let it build up over all those years. They let that stress build up. They let that, they don't worry about looking after them. They worry about everyone else. They worry about their work. They worry about their parents. Yeah. And our bodies weren't designed to exist like that 24/7, 365 days a year. We are not robots. We are meant to realize that this amazing flesh suit that we wear needs tending to, like your garden or like your house. You know, it needs repairs, it needs care, it needs gorgeous ornaments, whatever you want. But it's like no other thing do we treat as badly as women treat their bodies. We treat our cars better, we treat our pets better, we treat our children better, you know, all those things that, you know, of course your kids and your pets, you should love with that. But how dare we not put any of that on ourselves and think we are literally below a car in maintenance and care and being looked after.
It's so true, Sally. I can remember reading your book, and you have a part where you say, you know, our mobile phones, like we plug them in and charge them. Like that is my, you know, at night I plug it in, I've got my alarm, like that is part of my routine, but we don't actually charge ourselves. And when I saw that, I was like, bloody hell, it's true.
When that battery starts getting low, we start to panic. When our battery starts getting low, we go, oh God, what's wrong with me? Right, another coffee, packet of biscuits, push on through.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. When I was at my lowest, it was all the coffee and all the biscuits to get me to all the wine to then anaesthetize me for the next day. Whereas, as you say in your book, the phone, you're like, oh, right, quick charge it. We cannot bear for that thing to be out of battery. But we don't think about ourselves, which is amazing. Your work is incredible, Sally. So obviously you went through that experience, and then at what point did you go, I have to then take this out to the world? Because you're doing an incredible, phenomenal job.
So it was probably after my operations, I was kind of left by the doctors, and they were like, come in for scans every 3 weeks and, you know, just see how you get on. And I was like, wait a minute. So I like, is there any reason for this? It's quite an unusual tumour. They were like, no, literally bad luck of the, you know, luck of the draw, whatever. Yeah. And I suddenly thought, I've got quite a researching mind, you know, like I was always the one, if a friend said, oh, I've got this symptom, I'd be like, don't worry, get on the internet, send them 20 different teas or supplements to try. So I always had that in me. And I thought, if this was a friend, I'd have a little route around to see what was going on. And I started looking into what made tumours grow, the type that I had. And I started going, oh my God, the same thing that makes my tumour grow is the same thing that accelerated my acne, which is the same thing that caused my painful periods, which is around a stressful environment that triggers IBS. It was, I just went, how do I know this from a few days research? And no doctor ever told me, you know what, there's too much estrogen in your body. That's why you're having these heavy, painful periods. Instead of, well, some women just have that, you know, going for IBS that was so bad, you know, people think, oh, bit of stomach cramp, bit of time in the toilet. I was hospitalized. My IBS was so bad. They did scans. They couldn't find anything. No doctor sat me down and said, you know what we see people with too much stress. It affects their stomach. Tell me what's going on. No one did that for me. I had to do that for myself. And it was so unpicking all that stuff. And I thought, I know loads of women who have painful periods. I know loads of women who had adult acne. I know loads of women suffering from IBS, and all of them are getting the same answers as me. And I'm not okay about it. I want them to take these warning signs when they first come up, when they get that heavy period. I don't want them 10 years later possibly getting a breast tumour or, you know, a worse disease. I want to tell them now, it's not okay to be in pain. It's not okay to be exhausted the whole time. Instead of be part of this hustle culture that celebrates, frankly, Stepford wives. You know, we celebrate the women that go, oh, I just crack on and always happy, and oh, you know, it doesn't matter, I put myself last. You know, we celebrate women being martyrs. And yeah, it's one other time that really struck me is I was reading the obituary of, it was a young pop star, it was his mum, and she was only a little bit older than me, and she died sadly. And everything was like, oh, you know, she was just amazing because she put everyone before herself. And it hit me like an arrow to the heart. And my immediate response was, I wonder if she'd still be alive if she hadn't.
Oof.
Now, not to say that is always the case with, you know, horrible diseases and things like that, but it made me go, why are we celebrating someone always putting others first? Why have we celebrated that in our culture, in religion, in our families, when it is actually killing women or minimally making them really unwell and unhappy and not giving them the lives with sparkle that they bloom and deserve?
Yes, absolutely, Sally. And I think this really comes through in your book. And again, you know, like last November when I was really it was, you know, a real dark time for me. It was like a beacon of light just to be reading your pages, because it's such a strong message that, you know, throughout women's history, like throughout our lives, we just don't put ourselves first. And you're right, we praise the women who are doing it all, as opposed to, and that's what I loved about your Instagram. I can remember it was years ago, you did a post about, you were going to a wedding and you were trying to work out which dress, and you said, actually, to wear that dress at that time is no good because I will be in my follicular cycle, I will be bloated, so I'm not going to pick that dress, and I'm not going to even think about it, because if I try it on, I'm going to feel bloated and then maybe feel bad. And I was just like, bloody hell. It was like a light bulb went off.
I know, we've not been taught that. So I you know, for all these years, our bodies shift throughout the month. That means our weight shifts, that means our mood shifts, that means our energy shifts. And we've been told those shifts don't happen, essentially. You know, men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle, women have a 28-day, and over those 28 days we shift in 4 different phases, and that affects our mood, our weight, our appetite. And yet we've been given diet plans, we've been given fashion, all these things that don't accommodate for these changing things in us. So like you said, like I was going to a wedding and I tried on this dress and I thought, oh, it's a bit fitted around the boobs now. And I know when that wedding is, and my boobs get a bit bigger and my tummy gets a bit bigger just before my period. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm not going to shoehorn myself in, like, let's get the lovely smocky dress on and just enjoy it. Rather than, again, say the problem is with me, the problem is with my body, which is what we've done our whole lives, isn't it?
Oh, whole bloody lives. And that's what I just love about your message, Sally. Like you're all about self-care. You're all about encouraging women to embrace self-care. And so I'm curious, because you run this incredible business and you're so giving and you're a real leader out there, darling. You're really you know, shining the light and saying, come on, ladies, like, how do you look after yourself? Because, you know, it's reality, isn't it? Like, I know it's very easy to go back to those old patterns of going, okay, now I want to help all the women in the world and now I want to do, and it's very hard to get that balance. So how do you do that, darling?
Totally. Well, I do it, and sometimes I don't do it, and I have to remember to do it. I think what I've realized is that's probably the ongoing battle, or the ongoing process of going, like, I'll give you an example of how I don't do it, and then I'll tell you all the ways I do it. So normally I'm very good at doing it. I look at my cycle and I So I make sure within my month, I haven't planned in 5 clients a day when my period is due, as well as socializing, as well as all these things. So I use what's going on in my hormones to plan over a month, instead of just say yes to everything. I know at different times in my month, I have more energy. So at that time, I can say yes to more business opportunities. I can say yes to more friends. And we're talking literally as like granular as a phone call. We forget all these things use up our energy just by saying yes, 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 yes. I'll do that one extra thing that turns out that you've got 20 extra things that you said yes to that week. So I've got better at that. I have less friends. That's happened over the years. When you give out less, for some people, that's been your role, and you've let it be your role. It's never against the other person. I let myself be the person to always travel to see friends, to always be the one to be like, no, I'll cook, I'll bring this, I'll do that. And when you start changing that or saying, oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do that, you know, like you can lose friends. It's that serious. But, you know, we change, we evolve. And I pick a few things that I love to do, and I kind of make them non-negotiables. So having a bath. So I make sure I do that a few times a week, whatever happens. And if I need to, you know, multitask and reply to a few texts when I do that, that's fine. But it's like, I see those things as, I call them my supplements and my antidepressants. So people only think of supplements and antidepressants as tablets. But as women, there are supplements and antidepressants that you have that you're not taking. So like I said, for me, it's bath, it's going roller skating, it's being in nature, it's being around dogs. For other women, it might be yoga, having a nap. Like, they are as important antidepressants and supplements than your vitamin C and your whatever your doctor's prescribed you. So it's going, you know, oh, okay, the kids need this, and my husband wants that. Oh no, I have to take my antidepressant actually. It's more important that I have that bath, which is my antidepressant, than I, whatever, go and do the food shop when actually I could just ask someone else to do it or do it tomorrow. You know, anyway, I've done it the wrong way around. So there's some of the things I do. Interestingly, these past 2 weeks, lots going on. My husband has had an operation, family stuff going on, work stuff going on. And 2 really silly things where I abandoned myself. So I abandoned the idea that I'm important or my needs are important in 2 split seconds. And I had to, well, one of them I'm still suffering from. So I was in the middle of doing some work. Husband had cooked dinner. He can get a bit more impatient than me. So, you know, I can cook dinner and 10 minutes later I'll still be like, dinner, you know, and that's fine. He shouted up, dinner's ready, it's warm, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, right, I've got to go. I'd been sat on my foot in my office, and I jumped up because obviously his dinner was more important than me just calmly getting up, walking down, and I fell down the stairs. And my ankle went crack because my foot had been dead. I'd been sat on my foot. I sit very awkwardly on my office chairs. And in that split second, because I had put his need for me getting there within 2 minutes of him shouting dinner, I've now buggered my ankle. And that then had the knock-on effect that when we went on holiday, I couldn't do the walks I want and things like that. So very small example of where I abandoned myself, and we think it's not important, and it is. And I did it again on the bloomin' way back from holiday. And I thought, I obviously needed these 2 things to teach me just to reset. We were in the car. We booked a restaurant for lunch. We were stuck in a traffic jam. And I needed the loo, and I knew we were still about an hour away. There was nowhere to pull over, and I had got the thought it was more important that we made that lunch reservation than I was 20 minutes late and emptied my bladder. So I was just there, and I did that woman thing. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Next day got a UTI. And I was like, you know what? Both those things had the same root. I decided my husband seeing me within 2 minutes of shouting dinner was ready was more important than me just calmly getting up and walking down the stairs. And if dinner was cold, who cares? I decided getting to that restaurant and making sure everyone had lunch and we didn't lose the reservation was more important than me saying, we need to go off route for 10 minutes and find a toilet because I'm in pain. And so they were just two small examples of what we do to our body all the time. And I obviously needed them because, like a muscle, you forget. So I think, sometimes I get really good at not putting myself last, and you get a bit comfy, don't you? And think, I'm so good at this, I just teach other women how to do it. And then within 2 weeks, I get a torn ligament in my ankle and a UTI, and think, still more work to do.
Oh, bloody hell. So, but the thing is, so many women are going to relate to that. Because, we all do it. Whether you have kids, husbands, partners, whatever, like dogs, like I find myself at the moment, I'm looking after this homeless stray cat, and I look at him like, I bloody adore this thing. I called him Boris Johnson because he looks really like rugged and like big and burly and a disaster. And I'm like, oh, it's not Boris Johnson. And I look at this thing and like my family think I'm nuts. My kids are like, oh, for God's sake, mum, like you've already got a cat, like pack it in. And I look at this thing and I think, oh my God, if only I could love myself half as much as I do Boris Johnson, which is something I never expected to say in my life.
I don't think any of us expected to say that. I want you to love yourself like Boris Johnson. I would have never expected to say that.
But it's fascinating, isn't it? Because it's so easy for us to always be second.
Well, it's ingrained. So this is the thing. So this is another thing when I teach women, I'm like, this isn't about you being bad again. This isn't about going, you're so bad, you don't look after yourself. You have been trained. It suits families, schools, societies, religious institutions. It suits all of them for you to stay silent about your needs, for you to put the needs of others first, for you to serve others. It just suits the world that way. And so it's not about us being wrong. It's about us being brainwashed that it's very normal that we ignore the fact we have painful periods, or we ignore the fact we have migraines, or we ignore the fact we have stomach problems or are feeling really down. That has been normalized to the point where women get to crisis point. Then it's like, oh, okay, right, well, let's just throw this at you, throw that at you, instead of saying, how long has this been going on? That's always my thing. Women get about 10 minutes with a doctor over here. And I spend with my clients, I spend at least an hour, normally an hour and a half, because we have to get to the root cause of the symptom. It's never the symptom. The symptom is only like the end result of a pattern of things that have led your body to say no more. Like, I'm not going to let you ignore this anymore. I'm going to have to escalate it till you cannot ignore it. I'm going to stop you being able to do all the things you'd normally do and ignore me. I'm going to have to stop you doing those things now. I tried to warn you with a little bit of that, and now you haven't been able to take your child to school, or you haven't been able to meet up with someone because you're crying in your towel. It's like it has to, we let it get to that point before we say, oh, okay, maybe I do need some help or some support, or maybe this life isn't good for me,
Yes, because I loved how you said we were never meant to operate on our own. We were always meant to be part of a tribe. I love how you mentioned that in the book, and how you say, we are meant to ask for help. We are meant to ask, literally, metaphorically, give someone, say, hold the baby while I do this.
Totally. And it really upsets me to see, the mums that have been through this pandemic. And again, watch other mums on Instagram or whatever going, just handling it, 5 kids. No, we are meant to have, and these don't have to be biological. We are meant to have mums and aunties and sisters and cousins and, all that sort of community, in essence, if not biology, to support us. We are never meant to no matter what message you get from the world, you are never meant to handle this stuff on your own.
No, and I think the pandemic has, in a lot of households, really shone a light into the dark corner of how much women do compared to, and like my husband's lovely, but I get to things so quickly and I speed through them and do so much that then I'm like, well, no wonder I bloody burnt out. Like, here, can you do this? It's stopping ourselves, isn't it? And saying, okay, here, let's divide the tasks up. You do these, I'll do these. And I think, as you say, it's those ingrained patterns. Like, that's actually a really big step for a lot of women to not only see they're doing so much, but then to say, help. I think asking for help is a really hard one. It's such a simple bloody word. And as you say, if we were to see a friend struggling, you'd be like, darling, give it here. Let me get on with this. Let me sort this out for you. But for us to be a friend to ourselves, for us to care for ourselves and say help, it's so hard. Crazy.
Yeah. Now, and like you said, like with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, like with the pandemic, there were women who were saying to me, I don't know why I'm struggling. And I would say, now, if you had your house in the Hollywood Hills and millions of pounds, you would have a nanny, a housekeeper, a dog walker, a cleaner, a PA. And you are doing all those jobs. So you would have people in pretty much daily jobs doing what you are doing every day. And it's too much. Yeah. So it's just that thing of like, sometimes I say to women, please write down everything you've done today. Everything from sort the washing, put the washing on, unload the washing, like all of those jobs take time and energy, and women are doing that amongst mothering, working, dealing with sick people or animals. It's too much.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right, darling. And what I loved, because, obviously life is very busy and chaotic. And I have hope that this pandemic will help us evaluate our lives and look and change them for the better. But I loved in your book how you spoke of the cortisol flush, because I think life will always be busy. We will always have those situations that bring along stress. And for me, that was really helpful, because I know going forward and in this whole burnout recovery, like I will still come up, face to face with some stresses. And I'd love you to talk about the cortisol flush, because I think this is something we all need. Love it.
So everyone knows about cortisol, right? They know it's the stress hormone. Then, cortisol is actually, it's not a bad thing. It's what wakes us up, and says, right, time to start the day. And it's what, if you see a kid about to touch a fire, burst of cortisol, get to them, scream at them, whatever. But that's how it was meant to be. It was only meant to be for like waking us up and kind of, it's meant to have this like lovely, gentle rise and fall pattern throughout the day. Or if we're running away from, the old fashioned thing would have been a tiger or a woolly mammoth, and now it's children, work problems, whatever. Yeah. So that's what we run away from, and we run away from them every minute of every day. That text message goes, your cortisol goes. That Instagram post that's annoyed you, cortisol goes. Your husband doing something wrong, your kids doing something wrong. So we live in a way that we have if you had a tap of cortisol, it's constantly dripping in your body. And people are like, no, I'm always stressed. I know stress is bad. They don't understand how bad it is. So it shuts down your immune system. And that's actually the thing that really annoyed me about this pandemic. The politicians and the media pumped that cortisol through our TV screens, through our phones every day. They increased the stress and the fear. And cortisol, stress hormones so powerful. They're given when someone has an organ transplant. So your body will reject foreign bodies. That's part of the immune system. So if you have an organ that's not yours, your body naturally will reject it and go, this isn't mine. So to reduce the chance of that happening, you have stress hormones injected into you to lower your immune system to the point where your body will accept a foreign organ, hopefully. So the main point is it lowers your immune system to such a point that your body accepts something that normally it would expel, meaning that stress means every day your immune system is being lowered. And the fact that wasn't talked about in the pandemic, and then go, guys, you know what, let's talk about this. But a big key to this is we want you to reduce your stress levels. So watch the news once, then turn it off. You've got the information you need. You've got an immune system. Here's some tips so you don't feel helpless. That wasn't done. So that really annoyed me. Anyway, on to happier things. Let's talk about the cortisol flush. But it's just like, that's what really pissed me off. Excuse me if you've got children around, but I was like, if this is about health, let's talk about stress hormones and how damaging they are to your immune system, because our immune systems are amazing. They can, surprise, surprise, we haven't been told this. The reason most people haven't had this thing is because of our immune system. So anyway, we want your immune system kept in tip-top condition. We don't want it being dampened by all this cortisol every day. And so we want to, as much as we can, if we have a really stressful incident, that phone call with whoever in the family that just makes your blood boil, or that work colleague, or like I said, that Instagram post, or anything that's you feel it, don't you, in your body? You just think, oh. And most of us keep it there, and we just let it just there in our body. And if we keep doing that, like I said, that causes a problem for our hormones. It imbalances our hormones. It causes inflammation. Long term, that causes all sorts of problems we don't want. So we want to regularly get this cortisol out of us. And we can do it in two really, really simple ways. And you can pick which one you prefer, ladies. So the first way is you can literally just run on the spot, dance on the spot vigorously. You just want to pump the blood around your body to help move it out your system. So put your song on that you just think, I love this song. Normally one from when you were either a teen or in your 20s, and you just think, you put it on, you dance vigorously, or you run on the spot for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however much you can take, and that will help rebalance your body. The other way you can do it, which again, it's a whole other chapter in the book about women's pleasure.
I love it. It's fantastic, darling. It's brilliant.
If you have an orgasm, that will flush cortisol from your system. So, ladies, the one way we know about meditation, we know about all these other ways, we're meant to be having more orgasms because that helps flush the cortisol from our system. So, on your own, with a partner, however you choose, please have more orgasms to reduce your stress.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I love that chapter.
We haven't seen that on the news, have we? Haven't seen that on the news during the pandemic.
Bloody hell, they're not recommending that, are they?
Haven't seen our politicians saying that's mandatory.
It's so good. That whole chapter. I mean, you talk about, acknowledging your clitoris. I think it's fantastic, darling. Like, it really is. Because again, I'm in my 40s. So like 20 odd years ago, 25 years, like we didn't really talk about that. Yeah, there was bloody like position of the week in Cosmo. But again, it was all about pleasuring someone else. And and so this is why I'm like, damn, I wish I had this when I was younger. My God, it's a brilliant.
The knowledge in there, I wish I'd had when I was younger too.
Yes.
It's like to only understand my menstrual cycle at the age of 33, I'm 42 now, and to understand the way, like I said, like medical systems have been set up against you. Like a woman's clitoris doesn't even appear in some medical textbooks. It's an organ and it's not described as an organ. It wasn't even mapped out till 1991. Like
really?
It's ridiculous.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it's like when women wonder why they're not treated properly by doctors, there's a 100-odd-year-old institution that have said, just focus on the men, and then women are just like a version of that, not knowing that actually our immune system's different, our organs can be different. Amazing book called Invisible Women, and that documents literally all the ways we're different and all the ways the world is set up, from the size of a steering wheel to the size of an iPhone to the size of a heart stent, where women suffer because all this stuff is geared towards men. We love men. We just,
of course,
we want to acknowledge that some women have lost their sparkle and are really struggling because they don't understand the world has been set up for them really not to thrive, or to only thrive if they take on these very masculine traits and this masculine hormonal cycle that says, no, you must be on the go the whole time, you must be happy the whole time, you must be working out the whole time. And that's not how our bodies are built to thrive.
Absolutely. And I think for any mums listening to this, so I've got 2 boys, 14 and 12, and I think for any mums listening, remember, little eyes are watching you. And as a mum to 2 lads, I really hope they are watching me and they are seeing me prioritize and learn how to, focus on my self-care and how to be very open in my communication and really consider everything and not just plow on through, because I hope that gives them a much more, a broader perspective, and certainly helps towards getting rid of the stigma of mental health, getting rid of that, some of these bloody feminism barriers that are, there and ingrained. And so, yeah, absolutely. For mums listening, like, really take note of Sally. Honestly, for mums listening, get her book. It's fantastic. You're like me, you'll have like 50 flags sticking out of it, and it'll be covered in pink highlighter pen, because it's just brilliant. It really is, darling.
My favourite. When someone says, I've just been underlining it, I'm like, you're my sort of reader. I have other people who are shocked. Like, sometimes I've put up books because I'm such an underliner, and people have been like, I can't even look at that. That makes me feel ill. You do that to a book. I'm like, I'm such an underliner. So I'm very happy when people underline my books.
This is why I don't really lend some of my books out, because I'm like, oh my God, you've got half an essay in there in the note corner.
Same here, you've got a star and an extra note.
Exactly. And your book, darling, is one of those books. It's fantastic. Like, every woman should have this. It's brilliant. And I'd love you to talk about the energy transactions, because that was something that really kind of hit a raw nerve for me. I was like, why didn't I ever think about my life and energy in that way? I'd love you to talk about that.
Okie doke. So whenever a woman comes to work with me, I normally say, like, use 3 words to describe how you're currently feeling, and 3 words how you want to feel. Now, women, like I said, they have different kind of hormonal issues or skin issues or stomach issues or different kind of like medical health issues. So within that 3, they might say, painful periods or migraines. Without a doubt, 98% of the time, one of those words that they always use of how they're feeling is exhausted, knackered, just no energy, low energy. And so this is, like I said, this is like an epidemic for women. And so I teach women about their hormones so they can understand that their amount of energy shifts over the month when they have their period, because their hormones are at their lowest, and leading up to that, their energy is at their lowest. And when they're ovulating, they have more energy, they have more testosterone, they have more estrogen, and they'll be able to do more. So the first thing to do is for them to understand when those shifts occur. After that, they have to understand that their energy account is like their bank account. So every day, like I said, most women start in their overdraft of, a few £1,000s, because
bloody hell,
they've overgiven the day before, the week before, the years before. We are meant to basically have that energy account restored overnight. We're meant to wake up with the exact amount of energy we need to do the exact amount of things we need to do. And normally that would involve some work, some movement, some emotional interaction, with times of rest within that. But because we jam pack our diaries in, if we viewed that energy like we view money, we are literally handing out £50 notes here, there and everywhere, and getting to 4 p.m. and going, why is my bank account overdrawn again? Why am I so tired? Why do I need another coffee now? Why do I need that packet of biscuits as a pick-me-up? Not realising that every little thing, like I said, just saying yes to that phone call from that family member that you don't need to speak to today, or, just saying yes to one extra thing to the kids or the school or things like that, you're handing your £50 notes here, there and everywhere. And sometimes you have to start conserving, building that bank account up before you can start giving. And like I said, there'll be some days where you have to overgive your energy. You've got an energy overdraft. That is your stress hormones. That is your ability when there are family crises, when you're ill, you can overgive, but then we're also meant to move out of our overdraft and fill that back up and go, you know what, I've just had a month of stress, work, parents being ill, shock about that. This month I need to just take things a bit easier, to rest a little bit more. But we don't do that. We carry on, and sometimes we even increase the stress. We increase the yes, because we just run on that adrenaline and think, that's what we're meant to do. We're just meant to help everyone all the time, aren't we? I'm a woman, I'm a mum, I'm a business person. I'm just meant to say yes to everyone. But why am I so tired? And it's like I said, it's literally just handing that money out left, right and centre. Yeah, loading and unloading the dishwasher uses energy. Loading and unloading the washing machine uses energy. Getting annoyed with your kid because they haven't done something you asked them to uses energy. Walking the dog uses energy. Paying a credit card bill that is a bit more than you thought it would uses energy. Yeah. And we don't look at any of that stuff. We just go, I'm meant to be able to do all this stuff and I'm tired. So what's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you. You are doing too much in a world that's set up to not support you. And you've not been taught about how your energy ebbs and flows over a month. So you're not utilising when you have more energy and when you have less. It's not you who's the problem.
Oh, just amazing, Sally. Honestly, it's like the phone thing. I can remember reading that going, oh my God, like I'm so conscious and diligent with my bank account and my phone. And yeah, not me. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, you're fine. Get on with it. It's
incredible. It's fine if you go into your overdraft.
Yes.
It's fine if you go onto red of your phone, not your phone, not your bank account.
Yes. Like, just amazing, darling. Your message and philosophy is absolutely fantastic. It really is.
Aww,
so when a woman comes to you, darling, and she's kind of, burnt out, exhausted, what are the first things you suggest she does?
So I am a holistic nutritionist. So what that means is we don't just look at your diet and go, oh, few more greens, few less glasses of wine, because actually that's just so unhelpful. It means I look at her whole life and we don't just go, oh, there's not enough energy giving foods in your diet, or there's not enough things to reduce the inflammation so your periods are not as painful, or we just give you these supplements. It's about going, let's look in your life at what is causing these biggest problems. So is it that you hate your job? And it doesn't mean we're going to fix them all in a session. It means that a woman starts linking the things, going, oh, interesting, actually I do get those migraines before I visit that family member, or I do get them before a presentation and I'm doing too many presentations and I don't like that, or I am in a relationship that's upsetting me. So we look at those things that are causing like the inflammation in her body and her mind, and I think one of the most important things I do is I validate a woman that it's too much, because often a woman will come to me with a symptom and I'll say, tell me what's happened in the last 5 years. And they'll go, oh, okay, I thought you were just gonna fix my heavy periods. And then we'll find out in the last 5 years, her mum died, she might have been through a divorce, her kids might be playing up. There are normally some traumas that, again, because we live in this culture, you lose a parent, you go through grief, you get 2 weeks off work, that's it. And then you just get back on. We need you in society to not be crying and not be sad. And so there are women walking around who have not been validated that they've been through these huge things, that have not been helped through their pain of a miscarriage or postnatal depression or a parent dying or a pet dying. And they've been told it's just what everyone goes through. You just deal with it like you saw your friend deal with it and she snapped back into shape mentally or physically. And so that validation, that link with them going, oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, that tummy trouble did start after my mum died, or after I lost my job, and then we bring it to the present day, and we do look at their diet, because to make changes, you have to have a bit more energy. And so, I look at their diet and I add in supplements, but it goes hand in hand with lifestyle stuff. And it's about going, this isn't ever about perfection. This isn't about me giving you some diet suggestions and you getting them all right. This is about you going, okay, what can I manage? If I can only manage changing my breakfast, amazing. You do that. And if you need to do that for the next 6 months, you do that, because you will see a difference by changing your breakfast, adding in something more nutritious than just grabbing a coffee and a biscuit. Women, again, they sometimes do this stuff and they get browbeaten going, you have to stick to this diet, or, you don't want your health. And it's like, I don't know. That's not how I've never been someone who's wanted a personal trainer screaming at me to do burpees, like I want someone saying, if you're tired, don't do your burpees today. Let's do them when you've got more energy. You know, so I have that approach with women of going, let's see where you're at. I'm not going to ask you to home cook 3 meals a day if you've got 3 kids and a full-time job. That would be foolish. That would add more stress. That would take more energy. So let's look at some ways that you actually get a bit excited about that. And it maybe we don't look at your diet for the first few weeks or a month. Maybe we just get that energy up by saying, go for a walk every day, get a bath a couple of times a week, take a nap once at the weekend, and let's see how that starts affecting you.
Oh, amazing, Sally. Like incredible. What you're doing is incredible. And I think, you know, more and more people, because they're looking at their lifestyles, because they're looking at themselves, they have to make changes. We've all got to make changes. Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
It's that thing that I always say of like, women are so panicked because sometimes I'll make them do something like to an outside person will be laughable that you think it's bold, but it's really bold for women for me to say, you know what, tell everyone you're not cooking twice a week. See what happens. Like, see who else steps up to the plate, get a takeaway, you know, like do that. And a woman's like, yeah, but I couldn't do that. And it's like these little situations that women think, I don't have permission to do that. Who am I to say I deserve a rest? That is like the crux of getting your health back. Literally just speaking up for yourself in one instance, like a friend saying, oh my God, I can't wait to see you Thursday. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. And everything in your body saying, I really can't go. But your head going, you must go. For your friend, she's always there for you, you must go. Speaking up for yourself and just saying to your friend, I'm so sorry, I need to do it another time. You know, like that, it sounds so silly. And I hope in 10 years' time, that will sound ludicrous to women. But women need to be bolder and braver in all these big ways, in all these Me Too movements and, you know, but in their everyday, they need to be bolder by saying, you know what, I said I was going to come to the skate park with you guys. I'm knackered. We're not going. That might really annoy you. You can watch a film. I need to, you know, like it's getting off that treadmill that you just carry on, because the link between ill health in your 40s, 50s, 60s starts way before that, 1-2 decades before that.
Oh, that's powerful. That's powerful, just right there. I mean, it's a practice, isn't it, darling? Like, I think, you know, saying to your family, listen, you lot, I'm not cooking these days. It can feel a big thing. But you say that every week. Well, after a year, they're already, it's a practice. We have to show up to ourselves every day, practice these things, get better at it. And that's so powerful. We'll see it in our health later on. It's
a confidence thing. Like, that's the silly thing. We don't realise we haven't been given the confidence as women to say, I deserve that. We've been told that, like, you deserve it if you have a lot of money, or you deserve it if you're very attractive, or you deserve, you know. For the average woman, we don't feel we deserve to say those things. We don't feel we deserve to say, I'm really tired. I don't want to go out. I know you've been looking forward to it, but you're going to have to do something else. Like, we don't have the confidence to do that, even to the point where, like, I always use like the takeaway option. So, right, when you say to your family, right, what takeaway we're getting, and you in your heart, you want Thai. Oh my God, you want Thai. Everyone else wants pizza, and you go, okay, pizza. No, you get the blooming Thai. Doesn't matter if they have to drive to 2 places. Like, it seems like such a silly
Sally.
thing. But again, it's that like abandoning of going, that the message you give yourself the whole time is like, everyone else's opinion or desires or wants matter. My role is to just fall in line and eat the bloomin' pizza that we have every week that I didn't want.
Oh, bloody hell, like music to my ears. That's so something I would do. I'd be like, okay, what can we have? And I would be thinking, I'd really like Thai. And there's no way my kids are going to eat Thai. And then we would get bloody pizza.
Yeah,
when I
did it for years. I know, I did it for years and years. And you'll even notice it, you know, like you'll even notice it with little things, like if you're on holiday and like, oh, do you fancy this or do you fancy that? You, like, as women, we are so used to just going, like, we go, like, because we've been taught, if you speak for something you want, or if you stand up for yourself, oh, she's full of herself. isn't she? Or she's full of herself.
Yes.
Or she's a pain, or she's, you know, again, we've been trained that if you speak up for yourself or you speak up for your needs, you're awkward, you're a bully, you're bossy. Now, so what? Like, you know, we've been taught all this. It's not true. Saying you want Thai and you don't want pizza, honestly, it sounds silly. If your body said, I want Thai, and you're sat there eating pizza, that's quite stressful to your body, because there's a level of your brain isn't stupid. It goes, oh, here we are again, 3 weeks, you know, the martyr thing comes in, I'm eating pizza again, but it's fine because the kids are happy. And no, get the bloody Thai.
Yes, yeah. And this is where it goes way beyond, like there's that saying, isn't there, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's a great little adage, but this is going beyond it. Like this is like really setting yourself up for success. It's fantastic, darling. It really is.
That don't pour from an empty cup. There's an amazing coach called Kerry Jarvis. She's on Instagram as well. And she always says, we get taught don't pour from an empty cup, but keep pouring even when there's only little drips left in. As a woman, you get those last drips out. And she said, we've been taught that, whereas it's like, don't pour from a half empty cup. The minute you feel your cup is half empty, that's when it needs topping up, not when it's totally empty. So don't pour from a half empty cup. Always pour from a full cup.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh, this is just amazing. I could spend hours and hours talking to you about this stuff. I sound like a broken record, but I keep saying, like, for anyone listening, I really do. I'll put in the show notes, like your website and your book and everything. I really hope people go and find you and look at your work and order your book. And for those listeners in Canada, even though like Sally's in England, I actually ordered it on Amazon Canada. And I got it.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, like, I really hope people do themselves a favour and look at your incredible work, your mighty words of wisdom, and, you know, your brilliant message out there, darling. You're just an epic cheerleader. It's just, you know, we're so lucky.
Thank you.
So lucky to have you. I feel lucky to be alive at the time. Like, because if you think, have you noticed a difference over the 10 years of you doing this?
Yes, but mainly in the younger generations is what I'd say. So I've noticed that like younger women, so sometimes like most clients I have are in their like 30s, 40s, 50s, but I've got some clients in their 20s and they are they're just like a new breed of women, and I love it. I love it. They'll like say, I'm struggling with this, but these are all the self-care things I do. You know, I've told my boss I can only work that and I'm working from home these days. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, yes. So that's the change I've noticed. In women our age, I haven't noticed, like, sadly, I've not noticed a change because we haven't yet understood the severity of ignoring ourselves and putting ourselves last, because sometimes the health problems come a lot later. You know, like the reason I do this, I don't want any woman going through what I went through. It sounds bizarre. I feel privileged that I went through it in my 30s so I could readjust then, because God knows what I would have got in my 40s and 50s had I not learned the lessons I needed to learn then, you know? So it's like my absolute plea, like, do not push yourself to the back of the queue. Do not ignore period problems. Do not ignore stomach problems or headaches or all these things you've been told is normal. It's normal for you to have energy. It's normal for you to have vibrant health. It's normal for you to like yourself, to like your life. And yet you've been told it's the opposite's normal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Sally. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would like to end on just some little questions, some just little fun ones, because I'm curious.
Yes.
So, darling, on your dodgy, tough days, do you opt for lemon in gin or lemon in water?
Oh, so, I mean, do you know what? I really struggle with this because I was such a party girl in my 20s, and the me in my 20s just rolls her eyes at the me now. So it would be lemon and water, but my book will explain why. Yes.
Perfect. That's a
I'll
good
leave that
little hanger. I like
little,
that.
yes.
I like that. You know what, darling? I would say a year ago, it would be lemon and gin for me. But now it's lemon and water. And I think that's learning from people like you and yes. Okay. Move your body or move the remote.
Oh, I would say depends where I am in my cycle.
Oh, you're so good.
So you know what? Some days I have days and my body will literally go for a walk. And I'll be like, shut up, don't want to go for a walk. And it will say, go for a walk. And I'll think, okay, I'm going to go for a walk. And other days, you know, like I said, normally leading up to or on my period, my body will say, I've got no energy. And my husband will go, should we go for a walk? And I'll go, no, I'm going to watch that terrible reality TV show. And that to me today is health. That's healthy.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Okay. Bag of almonds or bag of Maltesers?
Both. I eat both.
Oh God,
you know,
too.
so it's like I don't see. So again, if I ate only Maltesers, that would be bad. If I ate only almonds and thought Maltesers were bad and were like, oh, I want that chocolate, but I shouldn't have it because it's going to make me fat or it's going to make me ill, that's bad. Yeah. So both. Love the almonds, love the Maltesers. Life's about balance, right?
Oh, you're just brilliant. Okay. Ask for help or happy to hermit?
Ooh. Oh, God. Like, I just sound like, no, both.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's true. So I think you need both. I think sometimes you need time on your own so your brain and your body can just work through some stuff. Like it's really good to journal when you hermit and be like, oh, I didn't realize that thought was in there.
Yeah.
But always ask for help. Like I now don't delay it. So before I would do the thing that most of my clients do. I would only see someone, a doctor or an alternative practitioner, or even speak to a friend when I was at breaking point. Now, first warning sign, maximum second warning sign, you know, a little bit of eczema start appearing when I've been stressed or crying a few more days than normal, get the help straight away.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Okay, lastly, what's the one thing you're going to do today that you know your future self's going to thank you for?
Ooh. I am going to sunbathe for at least half an hour after this podcast instead of go through work emails.
Oh, love it. Sally, I think I'll do the same.
Yes.
You inspired me. Get me sunlight.
Let's do it. Can you sunbathe like as, you know, with all your bits out or...
No, I've got teen boys. I've got, like, my husband's working from home. You know, the other day I did that classic. I didn't realise he was on a video call. And I just come out of the shower and I put, like, my summer dressing gown. It's like a little cotton thing. But I accidentally shrunk it in the dryer. So it's a little shorter. Now, my boys know I've got my knickers on underneath it. My husband does. Didn't realise he was on a video call. I walked in and I just hear him clicking his fingers, like trying to like get my attention. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my God. And now I've got to like try and get past the camera without anyone seeing my arse. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
You're like, I'm not thinking about putting a show on. I'm thinking about my little dressing gown and Boris Johnson. I'm not even thinking about your work.
To be Boris Johnson. Oh, darling. Listen, this has been amazing. I've
loved it.
Everyone's going to know exactly why I just adore you, like, and how it was amazing when you reached out to me back in November, and I was struggling, and you were solid and as authentic and as incredible as they come, darling. And this has been such a treat. And I have to say, at the beginning, we were saying that we were so excited to see each other because we've never really met in real life. And we've only, we've got this lovely Instagram friendship. And we were saying, oh my God, like, I know I will over rev. I get so excited because I'm blonde and pale. I then go very hot, very red, very sweaty. And then I cannot bring myself down. And you were saying the same. And I'm looking at us, darling, and we look great.
I mean, I've gone pinker. I can, on my pink gradient, My husband's from New Zealand and they've got these like fire warning signs. I've definitely moved up on a couple of the fire warning signs, but hey, that's excitement. It's seeing you, it's being on this podcast. I can't wait for when you do your live podcast and I can come to Canada and we can sit on a stage and have Maltesers and lemon and water.
Absolutely. And when I really want to get home, I'm long due a home visit. And when I do, I'd love to meet up with you.
Yes.
We will catch up. We will laugh. It will be fantastic.
Fab.
Oh, Sally, thank you so much for this. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
grateful for your
I've loved
time.
it.
And I'm really grateful. Like, I just really hope people listening to this will find your wisdom, because it was a very lucky day that I found you like 5 years ago. And so I really hope more people find your magic, because you're doing incredible stuff. Incredible, darling.
I feel the same about you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Perfect. Well, we'll end it there. So thank you very much, Sally.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Everyday Burnout Conversations. Please check the show notes for any links to items discussed today, and the original music and sound editing is by Chris Taylor. If you've enjoyed this podcast and have a spare few minutes, then it would be absolutely amazing if you could leave me a happy starry rating and review. It really does help this podcast reach a little further, and I just love it to land in the lap of those who, like me, last year are perhaps feeling isolated and lonely in their burnout struggle. Please note, this podcast is not intended as medical advice. Remember, you matter, so don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor or mental health professional for support if you're having a rough time. Wishing you a great week and take good care of yourself. Bye for now.